I had to go.
You
Yeah.
are getting
I would talk to
fired when I get my cast here. But the second I don't need you, buddy, you're out of here.
And what do you think will happen?
Joe Budden gets fed up with Flip, and the truth starts to come out. Yes, on the last episode, Joe Budden was upset. I mean, Flip did arrive late.
Flip here. He about to sit next to you.
No, he won't.
That's a comfortable seat for him.
He should sit there.
I'm not sitting over here.
Where you gonna sit at?
I don't know. I'm not sitting over here.
But we.
Text me and tell me, yo, if you're not coming on time, you got to sit somewhere else.
But this whole video, we're going to take back to two key moments that have happened over the last year that exemplify the dynamic between Joe Budden and Flip. Who's manipulating who? And is Joe Budden the master gaslighter? Has he been outwitted by someone he never saw coming? Let's look at what happened. Everybody knows Melissa Ford has been absent. Now, there are people who theorize that maybe she's absent as a result of what happened between Flip and Melissa Ford. And I think that theory is becoming truer as I've done all these episodes on her exit for the last month. But Flip might have had added some gasoline to the fire by arriving late to the show. Joe really did not at all look like he was feeling this. I mean, he looks fed up. He even tells him, don't sit here, go sit over there. And Flip is like, oh, you telling me to sit over here because I was late? Joe don't like that late stuff, especially this super late stuff that Flip tries to get off. Many times people think that, oh, these are all fake storylines. But the subconscious mind is very, very strong. The characters, the storylines people create are often rooted in who they really are. For example, remember Charlemagne's creepy guy persona on The Breakfast Club? That was at a time when he was self-admittedly not holding his responsibilities as a man to his wife. I mean, the guy said it. The constant conversations of value, contracts that happen on the show are an extension of Joe's career. Someone who has been on record saying he wasn't properly valued as a rapper. Now he is on a pod filled with many people who feel they aren't being valued to the extent they should be. Joe Budden is at the other end, and the storylines playing out are a reflection of that. This notion rings truer ever since the $20 million admission. Speaking of which, Joe said he can't really speak on if the $20 million leak really hurt his business or not when Mark Lamont Hill asked him.
Joe, would you allow that $20 million to leak?
That's a good question. I can't give an honest answer to that and until at least another 6 months.
You can't let them know you leaked it.
Now, I will speak from my vantage point. I do think the leak did hurt in terms of just the dynamics of their current cast. Now, this is not to say that what might happen as a result of the leak won't lead to more positive things, which is what I think Joe is getting at. Like, yes, right now, the dynamics of the cast might have been upended by this admission that I've made $20 million a year, but who knows what type of change that may unlock. The $20 million admission probably had more impact on the people outside of the room. I think it signaled to a lot of folks that, man, these people might be getting overpaid. And some of those folks are people who might be trying to actively get on the show. We're talking about people like Mona, people like Ashley Witherspoon. There's folks who are looking at that cast and they see food. But another conversation was broached here that I think was interesting. It was the idea of Joe asking Flip to sign an NDA.
Well, hopefully you signed a paper that says you can't talk about nothing that happened.
I would never do that.
I'll pay you for it.
Why would Joe introduce that? He's probably afraid of the leverage that Flip would have if he were to leave and be able to talk about his time on the show. I don't think he wants another Rory and Mal rollout where an exiting cast member could use the exit from the JBP as a great way to launch their own career and jettison them to new heights. The fact that he's even bringing that up, it's a great piece for Flip to negotiate. Oh, you want me to sign an NDA? Well, pay. And there's also another situation that I believe Joe asked for someone to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and you can do the signs on who that might have been. But this whole thing has been happening over the last year. Let's rewind back to January of 2025. January was shortly after the whole sleepwalking incident, and it was a crossroads moment for Joe. He was in a building in which he couldn't record. It's likely that they issued some type of order where he could not enter, and he just felt like the walls were closing in a little bit. But what did Queens Flip do? Well, he would go to TMZ, and he would let Joe down in ways he never had before.
Before you go, stop. Here's the thing. Joe is my man. I love Joe. Joe changed my life. And, like, look where we at. I'm out here living, new cars and stuff like that. I don't know what you're going to ask me. I don't know what you want to talk about. I don't. Joe changed my life.
Joe's issue with what Flip did was that, hey, I'm fighting a case. People could leverage your appearance on TMZ against me, yet you decided to go on that site and talk about my sensitive case. You did not prioritize me, you prioritized yourself, and I was facing a real situation. Not only did Flip anger Joe, he also angered Ian because Flip tried to circumvent Ian to get approval from Joe.
I don't respect the fact that you don't pick up your phone or return phone calls.
Man, brunch.
I don't respect
I
that.
text you immediately to say I'm at brunch.
No,
Text him about TMZ?
no, I called you about TMZ.
What did you say to me?
I said TMZ reached out. You told me not to. I said, tell me I want to troll them. Tell me what they said. You sent me a text back and said, do not meet them. It's not a good idea with what's going on with him.
Call me.
And I still went.
Why?
Because he do what he wants.
Because what I say is not valid.
And it was like, dog, I'm the manager in this situation. I'm the person you go to. You're messing up the chain of command to get your way. And it would eventually lead to Joe telling Flip that he is seeking some type of showdown with him that he will ultimately win.
I'm going to win this.
Actually, no, I won't.
matchup that you I'm going to win this.
You won already.
I know.
So you think this is what troll what he's saying, telling me that I'm going to win this authority battle?
I'm going to win.
What?
Not yet. Because when I win, it's going to be a big win.
Now, this moment is a very serious dynamic shifter for Flip and Joe because Flip has referenced that moment several times since then. Like, oh, Joe told me that he was going to win, and Flip can't seem to get that exchange out of his mind. You even saw Joe start to crack and use his real non-content over everything voice here.
If the judge, and we in here fighting to keep things sealed. So now people that work with me are doing press. It's a trial. It's a trial. It's not content time. But do what you want.
So there you have it. What started back then is playing out right now. And Flip's antics are still holding the show back, especially with what happened with Melissa Ford, most likely. But then there was another episode. Episode 802, Positivity Highlighter. This episode was essentially an intervention for Flip. They were saying that, hey, your antics might be holding back the show.
I think everybody can get to any number that they want. It just depends on the rest of the people in the room. Depends on the team as a whole.
Yeah.
So there's nothing one person could come in here and do and it be that. It's about cohesiveness.
Our behavior is affecting them.
No, your behavior's affecting the show overall.
Yeah,
how could everyone get paid? How could anyone get paid more if the show isn't making more money?
But Flip was kind of hinting that my antics is what might be propelling the show. Flip was dragging the show back, and it was essentially a crossroad moment for Flip. A year later, well, close to a year later, have things really changed? I don't think Flip is ever going to change. I don't think he sees the value in changing. And I feel like I'm looking back at this time, and I think Flip has gotten the better of Joe over the last few years. He's gotten paid despite being late all the time, despite fighting or threatening to fight several members of the cast. Also, he doesn't do whatever the cast asks of him. Anytime they make a suggestion or make a request, especially upper management like Ian and Joe, he just ignores them. He just does what he wants. He circumvents Ian to talk to Joe, especially in the case of the suspension. Remember when Joe Budden decided to suspend Flip, he wanted to talk to Joe directly, and he circumvented Ian just like he did with the TMZ incident. This guy is getting paid very well, and he's causing issues with the cast But he's such a good manipulator that he's made it seem like he's the more likable person than Melissa Ford. Melissa Ford is often demonized. And I think it's because of the way she carries herself. Obviously, she doesn't have the ability to relate to people like Flip. But Flip has done just about as much damage to the infrastructure of the Joe Budden network as Melissa Ford. So the manipulation games by Flip, I got to give it to him. And I think what Joe was alluding to is that you have been beating me over the last 2 years. But there's going to be a time when the hammer will drop. And when that happens, please, let's deal with this accordingly in a way that I feel my brand is protected. But let me know what you think. Where do we see Queen's Flip versus Joe going? I think at some point he's going to have to exit just because he's causing too much drama and he's a bit of an unpredictable variable for the pod and the most unprofessional. But I think Flip has succumbed to the fact that he's making a bet on himself. He is going to prioritize himself, and when he looks back, Flip the Network will be in a better place than it was when he joined the show. All right, y'all, that's my video for now. I'm telling y'all, man, go back to episode 802, Positivity Highlighter, and then go back and watch episode 13 of Behind the Scenes. You saw Joe and Flip's relationship for real. It wasn't content over everything. It was the reality of two guys who may be friends, but also might be playing each other and prioritizing their own interests over the other. All right, y'all. Shout outs to Omen. He brought this up on my Patreon. He was like, yo, Danny, you should do a video and break down what happened between Joe and Flip and how their dynamic is about trust. Well, Flip thinks it's about trust and loyalty, but is Flip really using the concept of street, rules like loyalty and trust to manipulate Joe? I think so. Follow me on Instagram to Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter to Stop TV. Follow me on Patreon to Stop. This is Danny from the Stop. Peace.